They say every jewel whispers a secret of time, of empires, of people who wore it and those who didn't. In one corner of the royal jewelry box lies a piece that glimmers not just with diamonds, but with story. It begins in a far-off land, under African skies, where a mountain of stone revealed its hidden heart. Traveling into the arms of royalty, into portraits, into moments when history paused. This is the tale of that heart-shaped jewel, the one pinned over a monarch's shoulder, carried through decades. And at the center of that tale is the brooch known as the Cullinan V brooch. But before we dive into the dazzling history of this royal jewel, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps us uncover more hidden royal stories like this one. It was January 1905. In the Premier mine near Pretoria, South Africa, a worker spotted a strange glimmer deep within the rock face. What he had found was no ordinary crystal. It was a colossal rough diamond weighing an unbelievable 3,106 carats, the largest gem-quality diamond ever discovered. Named after the mine's owner, Sir Thomas Cullinan, the diamond became a symbol of wonder, and soon of empire. Because of its immense size, cutting it was a challenge that demanded genius. The legendary Asher brothers in Amsterdam were given the task. With trembling hands and months of planning, Joseph Asher made the first cut, a moment so tense that he reportedly fainted afterward. From that single stone came 9 major diamonds and 96 smaller fragments, each destined to glitter in royal crowns, scepters, and jewels. Among them was one that stood apart, a heart-shaped diamond weighing 18.8 carats. It was called Cullinan V. In 1907, the uncut Cullinan was presented to King Edward VII as a gift from the people of South Africa, a gesture of loyalty to the British crown. The Cullinan wurst, now the centerpiece of the sovereign's scepter, Cullinan II set in the imperial state crown. But while those gems represented power and sovereignty, Cullinan V would come to represent something gentler, love, loyalty, and the quiet grace of queens. The Cullinan V first found its royal form thanks to Queen Mary, wife of King George V. Known for her impeccable taste and her fascination with jewelry design, Queen Mary was determined to create a set of jewels that would reflect the grandeur of the British Empire. For the Delhi Durbar of 1911, a magnificent celebration in India marking the coronation of King George V as Emperor of India, she commissioned Gerard, the royal jewelers, to create a full parure from the Cullinan stones. The Cullinan V was set at the center of a stunning diamond stomacher, an ornamental piece that covered the bodice of her gown. The result was a heart-shaped diamond framed by smaller brilliants, set in platinum, delicate yet regal, emotional yet powerful. It could sparkle with the splendor of an empire or rest softly on a queen's shoulder. Queen Mary adored the brooch. She wore it countless times, often pairing it with layers of pearls or diamond necklaces, letting the heart-shaped gem rest just over her own. To her, the Cullinan V wasn't just about opulence, it was a token of continuity. It linked her reign to her predecessors, and, perhaps unknowingly, to the women who would come after her. When Queen Mary passed away in 1953, her vast jewelry collection, one of the greatest ever assembled, was distributed among her descendants. The Cullinan V went to her granddaughter, a young woman who had just been crowned queen, Elizabeth II. For Queen Elizabeth II, the Cullinan V was more than an heirloom. It was a symbol of connection. It had belonged to the grandmother she deeply admired, a woman who had guided her through the complex world of monarchy and duty. When she pinned the brooch to her coat or dress, it wasn't only a piece of decoration. It was a quiet nod to the woman who had worn the crown before her. Elizabeth wore the brooch often, especially for daytime engagements. It wasn't the largest or most dazzling jewel in her collection. The queen owned treasures that could light up entire ballrooms. But this one had something different. It was subtle, understated, personal. Observers noticed that the Cullinan V appeared in moments that mattered. In portraits, in garden parties, in visits to hospitals and schools. It was there on her pale blue coat when she attended London Fashion Week in 2018, sitting front row beside designer Richard Quinn, a moment that united tradition and modernity in one frame. It was there again in the deeply personal portrait taken for Prince Philip's 99th birthday. The heart-shaped gem glowing softly above her heart as she stood beside the man she'd loved for over 70 years. The Cullinan 5 wasn't just a jewel, it became a mirror of her life. Quiet strength, enduring love, and the beauty of constancy. Where other jewels symbolized the power of the crown, this one spoke of the woman who wore it. It was the Queen's gentle way of reminding the world that beneath the crown, there was always heart. Over 70 years of reign, the Cullinan 5 brooch witnessed history unfold. It shone through jubilees, portraits, and state visits. It sparkled under summer sun at Buckingham Palace garden parties and glimmered quietly under chandeliers during winter banquets. It appeared in some of the Queen's most iconic photographs, always placed perfectly over her heart. As her reign grew into one of the longest in history, the brooch became synonymous with her image, as familiar as her smile or her wave. It was never about size or shine, it was about symbolism. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, many believed the Cullinan 5 would quietly retire to the royal collection, a jewel belonging to history. But then, something remarkable happened. At the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla in 2023, royal watchers noticed something extraordinary. Among the dazzling diamonds adorning Queen Camilla's modified Queen Mary's crown were several Cullinan stones, including the Cullinan 3, 4, and V. It was a full-circle moment. The jewels that once belonged to Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth II now adorned the next queen consort, continuing their legacy. And later, at public appearances, including garden parties at Buckingham Palace and Royal Ascot in 2024, Queen Camilla wore the Cullinan V brooch pinned to her coat. For the public, it was both familiar and refreshing. The same jewel, but with a new story. The Cullinan V has traveled across continents, through empires, across generations of queens. From the depths of an African mind to the polished halls of Buckingham Palace, it has lived many lives as a symbol of love, loyalty, and legacy. For over a century, it has rested close to the hearts of the women who shaped the modern British monarchy: Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth II, and now Queen Camilla. Each of them found meaning in its shimmer. Each wore it differently, yet all shared the same message: that the crown may change, but its heart endures. And so, the Cullinan 5 brooch remains what it has always been: a small diamond with a great story. A reminder that behind the weight of crowns and titles lies something softer, something timeless, the beating heart of history itself.